Hey guys, it's Maymay and it's time for another scripture art journal week. And this week's scripture comes from Ephesians 3:20. And here's what's interesting. This is my husband's favorite verse, and I saw him reference this verse on Facebook when he was speaking to somebody to give them some encouragement. And it really struck me, and I thought I really want to use that this week. I may have done this scripture in 2015's journal, but I don't remember. But then again, this book is about what has spoken to me this week, and that's why I'm doing this one. So Ephesians 3:20, and it says this: now to him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. And this is simply saying, this is what I get from this: God is able. And the cool thing about God is that God is able to do things we can't fathom. So when we get to the point in our life where we think there's no way out of this, there's no way this can be corrected, there's no way this can be fixed, we have to remember we don't know the mind of God, and we don't know the things he can come up with to get things done. Think about it. He parted the Red Sea. Who thought a sea could part? Jesus healed lame. He brought Lazarus back from the dead. Those are things we would never think. I'm sure Mary and Martha thought when Lazarus had died, it is over and there's nothing else we can do. But Jesus had another plan. God is able. So I want you to think about that in your own life. God is able. And that's what I want to pull out of the scripture from my art journal. And here's what I've done. I want to show you, I've done a lot of prep work, and I'll tell you why. I'm using this little mini alphabet punch board, which I was really hoping would be perfect for my journal, but it's not perfect, but we're going to make it work, and I'll show you how in just a second. So here's the prep I've done. Let me pull it over here. This piece of orange is going to be the mat that I put on this piece. The reason there's a big hole in it is because I wanted my letters to be the same color as this mat I put around here, and I didn't have any more of this, so I cut the middle out because this is going to sit on top anyway and be glued down, so I was able to use that orange that I cut out of there. So all of this is going to live on this side of the page. Have y'all noticed I've been saying that lately? Live on. I guess that's okay. This will be on this side of the page, and I've been using the mini alphabet board because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the words God is able. I've left some letters because I want to show you how it works and what I'm doing to make it work, because these letters were too big. And see how that's going to be so cute on there like that? All right, so here I've already cut out able, and here's the word is, and I'm going to make this work, and it's going to just fill up this whole page. And I'm going to show you what I had to do. Now, these letters, when I first punched them, were way too big. So I had to do some doctoring. And it was funny because I was like, God is able. Well, he's able to help me get this done too. So watch this. Okay, so I'm going to pull the mini punch board back over here, the alphabet punch board. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to make a letter. And we're going to use this little book to help us do it. I'm going to make the G and the O with you because I've already made all the other letters. And I want you to be able to see how I'm doctoring them up. So just put the little instruction booklet up here. And I'm just going to follow the photo instructions to get this done, which is pretty easy. I'm glad they do it in photos because if I had to read and read to remember or to focus on what I'm doing, I would not like it. So cut that guy away. Then it tells me to move this to the 1/4 inch mark, like so, and cut on this line. Then it tells me, let's get that out of there. Then it tells me to turn it which way? This way. Yep. Lay that in, cut on this mark. Is this the right mark? That's the right mark. Cut all the way across. So we got that done. Then back to the 1/4 inch line. This G is kind of complicated. It's the most complicated one I've done. And I did all of those letters. I'm shocked. I was going through thinking, wow, this isn't that hard. But this guy got some ciphering to do. All right. Is that where? We'll find out. All right, here we go. So now I need to do some corner rounding here on the top portion for one. And then on this side. And then on both corners at the bottom. And that's our G. Now the issue is it's too big for my page, so here's what I have done. There is a 1/4 inch line right here where you cut an E and an F and certain letters down a little smaller. I laid the whole letter on that 1/4 inch line. Then I took my blade and put it in the bottom carrier of the little blade housing, and sliced off a little bit of that letter. It looks funny for a second, but we'll fix it. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay this down and do the same thing on this side, just laying it on that 1/4 inch line, putting this guy in the bottom blade housing and slicing. Again, it's going to look weird. See how these pieces are coming off and it looks a little strange. But here's what I do. I just go back over here and re-round those edges, and it seems to make it usable. It's what it does. So I'm going to round the edges all the way around. And see how that's funny? I'll fix that in a few minutes. But I wanted to use this so bad, and I was like, I've got to make these letters smaller. How can I do it? So just think about it. Just try it. What can it hurt? It's just paper, right? All right, so for these little points, I'm just going to take my scissors and round that out. I didn't have to do that on the other letters, but this one looks a little funny, so I'm going to do it. And I'm not looking for perfection, and if you feel like they're not good enough, you can always ink your letters, because inking up of paper hides a lot of issues. All right, the last one we need to do is an O. We flip the page to O. This is time consuming. People have asked me, they're like, doesn't that take a long time to get done? It is. And you know, you could use your Cricut, you could use your cutting machine, you could use a die set. You might have a die set that has letters. Anything you got, you could draw it by hand. You could print it out on your printer. But I wanted to use my toy. I like sometimes getting to play with these toys. And I thought this is a good opportunity to get to know this little guy a little better, because I haven't used him much. So there's that. And then round the corners. That's it on this O. You know what I'm going to do to save myself some time? I'm going to go ahead and cut that 1/4 inch off that I was doing on my own, and then round the edges. Again, this is not in the book. Like, this is me doing this on my own just to make these a little smaller, so they don't turn out looking exactly like they should have looked. So these are not perfect, and they're not the exact size that the board makes. If the board had made them, they'd all look very uniform, but I went through and made all the changes so it would fit. So I'm good with it. Now I'm going to start assembling this guy together on the page. And what I'm going to do first is glue down this page, remembering to stay out of that middle, because remember I cut that center out so I could use that orange for letters. So lay this guy down like so. And it's going to have an orange mat around the outside of it. I like that. Then I'm going to put the word able down first. I'm going to start down here. I'm going to start with A. Put some glue on the back of that. And just lay that into place. I'm not real stressed because I've already kind of done a dry run, so I know kind of how it fits. So I'm just kind of doing that dry run in my mind again. I'm putting these guys down. These letters would be cute embossed. You know, you could make letters with this little tool and then emboss them, and that would be adorable. Now I'm going to put the is here. Matter of fact, let's do another dry run just to make sure I can fit all my words up. And I can. But if you made the letters, you know, for a bigger project like they should go, then emboss them after you've created the letter, that would be really cool. Give you some texture on your page too with your letters. And then you could like distress ink them. I may have to try that. That sounds like fun. Maybe we'll have a scripture come up that won't have so many letters, and I'll be able to do it without trimming them down. People ask me sometimes how I choose the scriptures for this. Actually, I get asked that a good bit. I watch all week for God to give me the scripture for it. And he typically, well, every time, I'm trying to think every time but one. I think every single time he's given me a definitive scripture to use. But one time he gave me a topic, which was anxiety. And then you chose your own scripture for that week, for this year. But I always watch all week long to see what he has for us. And this one just was the one. I just knew it was the one. I got my white pen, and I'm going to do stitch lines just through the middles of the letter. So I'm going to start here on the G, just to give them a little more shape of the letter. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but I stitched all the letters in the middle of the letter so you can see how it kind of runs down. It kind of looks like a street, which is funny. I think that's cute. All right, so now this is going to go into our journal. So bring it back over and put our glue on. And I can't stop here. I wanted to, but I can't. I've got to do stitch lines on this orange around the edge because I feel like it'll bring everything together. So this will take a minute, but I'll do this and we'll get right back together. There we go. And it definitely needed that to tie everything together. So that is it. That's our scripture for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I hope it speaks to your heart. If this is the first time you've joined us for a Scripture Art Journal week, I ask you to head over to our Facebook group, get involved. You can get all of the past scriptures there so you can do your journal. You can see we've been doing a lot this year. Matter of fact, we're on week 41. We're almost to the end of the year. It's amazing. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today. There's links below for everything that you might need to know about Scripture Art Journaling with us in our heart group. I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.